This is how my game looked 192 days ago. I poured my heart into it, and this is how it looks now. Working consistently on a project for over 6 months is something to be proud of, even though the journey was filled with mistakes and self-doubt.
No.
In this video, I'll take you back and we'll look at how the project grew and evolved. We'll look at what the future brings, and we'll look at 4 crucial mistakes that I made along the way, so you can avoid the same stupid mistakes. The game Bloody Pigs is a roguelite shooter game with a synergetic upgrade system. It's a recipe for gory mayhem. It's inspired by Hotline Miami and Enter the Gungeon. There's something I'm a little bit nervous about sharing, but we'll come to that later. It's kind of like a trend if you worked 6 months or a year on your game to make a video where you look at what you did. I love to watch those videos, so I thought I would do my own. Thank you so much for supporting me by watching this video. And if you agree, smash the like button. This all started a while back, in 2020 actually. If you don't know, I co-created a game called Night Out. It took 5 years to complete, and a lot of things with this project was a real challenge. I made a video about it when the game was done. I was quite burnt out on that project and I couldn't wait to start something new and fresh. So I started working on a few ideas. There was a fighting game and a first-person shooter game. I was really invested in the first-person shooter game, and I did a few devlogs on it as well. I brought over some of the code into a first-person competitive game where you hook your components into lava pits. These projects were just too big, and ultimately I had to shelve them. They all contained some sort of procedural generation though. I really wanted to work on a smaller project that I could finish within a reasonable time frame. This process of prototyping out the games was useful for me because I learned how big the scopes were, but it was still a mistake. If I'd started with a smaller project, I wouldn't have wasted months trying to develop these big games, which to be fair was not entirely wasted because I pivoted and reused the assets to the best I could. Bloody Pigs was started back in April, and the first month I spent just prototyping the core game. It's a top-down roguelite shooter with procedural generation, so those features needed to be in there. I approached it in a way where the gameplay would be built first, and later we would look into making it juicy and nice. I also tried to keep it simple and develop it from the perspective that everybody could create it with no code skill or art skills. I really wanted to let my creativity flow freely and just do some crazy and fun stuff that wasn't ruled by any commercial reasons. I was working part-time on the project, and while I still worked a bit on the project over the summer, I also had a full-time job, YouTube and Night Out. And I had to down prioritize Bloody Pigs a bit. It sucked, but it's just part of it. I did get to implement our horror character from the previous project, which was really nice because it came with some animations and it gives the game a unique look. I created a trailer and got some initial feedback both from the community but also from friends. I had a Steam page up and running with a trailer and screenshots by June. I showcased my game way too early. There's something newsworthy in showing your project off for the very first time. It's an opportunity, but doing it too early and you waste that opportunity because you're showing something that's not finished and maybe it doesn't captivate the player's interest. It can give a bad impression because it's lacking polish or features. That is exactly what happened to me. In July, I had somewhat a game and I started to figure out what direction I wanted to go with the game and how the gameplay loop should look. I wanted to implement a more arcade style gameplay, which meant a scoreboard and a leaderboard. A challenge a lot of developers face is how to create a community and be able to contact that community. I knew I wanted both crossplay over different platforms and cloud save, so I figured a good backend was needed, and it would really be an opportunity to gather emails for a mailing list. It's very useful for future game projects as well. The next step for me entailed working on the core and the gameplay loop again. I reworked the game to be endless and have a score, and have the score posted on the leaderboard. I also worked on a new gun. I spent a long time on a game intro, and looking back I shouldn't have prioritized it that high, because my game is still lacking a progression system. It's very easy to get distracted and thinking that the thing you're working on right now is the most important part of your game, when in reality it's not and you're lacking the big picture. I started working on destruction for the game, which means everything you can shoot can be destroyed. I also want to recreate the props and the environment, and I'm doing so with this in mind. It adds both immersion to the game, but it also gives it a different style, which I wanted. I recently worked on level designs, blood effects. With destruction you can shoot through walls, which is going to be really cool, but it also changes everything. And that's why I had to go over the level designs again. I'm really proud of where the game is now and that I could keep it up, both working on the game but also creating videos about it. I'm documenting the journey as it happens. I kept postponing key features for the game, and I still have, which is the progression system. I should have started to test this out, but I felt like I needed the perfect idea before I could start with it. However, this might still change 1,000 times. It's a better idea just to get started and test it from there. This brings me to my future goals. I want the upgrade system, and I'm planning to have stackable upgrades because that's just a ton of fun. And you get a lot of replayability with how you put together the upgrades. It's inspired by rounds where you get to pick different and cool upgrades each time you die. I want 3 different environments. I feel like this is a necessity because it would be boring to look at the same old environment. The one I got now is not too exciting either, and I want to do something different and more intriguing. And it will add to the story as well. I don't want to spoil it too much, so I'll leave it at that. 3 different playable characters. These characters will have different abilities or skills, but what it won't do is give the players overwhelming new powers, but it does inch you a bit further to succeed when you play. You won't believe my next goal though. I want to get 10,000 wishlist on Steam. I'm quite nervous about sharing this goal because what if I fail? And the whole internet can see it. On the other hand, if I don't share it, how would I expect to reach it? And I have a plan how to do so, which I'm gonna share in my upcoming video. If you wanna see how this whole thing plays out, you should definitely subscribe. In conclusion, looking back at the 6 months, I think there's plenty of room for improvements. I also think once I get the upgrade system created, it'll be a pretty decent game that I can finish in a relatively close future. Which means I hopefully won't end up in developer hell again. I did a video about developer hell and how I ended up there the last time. I think you should watch that now because this video is over.